Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now live. Welcome to A Conversation With, and I'm your humble host, Floyd Marshall Jr. And today I am joined by none other than the two founders of the Micheaux Film Festival. And if you have not heard of this festival, and if you have not been to this festival, let me tell you something, you are missing out. The co-founders, Courtney L. Branch and Noel Braham, started this amazing film festival back in 2018. And in 6 short years, it has made such a mark on the film industry and such an impact, and especially when you're talking about Black filmmakers. So I am extremely excited to talk to these two amazing people. And I myself am a 2-time alum of the Micheaux Film Festival. And I have to tell you, it felt like family. I've been to a lot of film festivals, and this film festival felt like family. So I was really impressed with that. And, you know, when I got back to Philly, I'm telling everybody, look, if you're going to a film festival, you got to get to the Micheaux Film Festival. No shade against Black Star, love Black Star, but you got to go to the Micheaux Film Festival. So welcome to the podcast, guys. How are you?
Thank you. Doing well, busy, but busy is good.
Mr. Braham,
what's up? Man, I'm doing great, and thank you again, sir, for having us. It's excited to be here and talk about all things film festival, film, Hollywood, everything. Let's get it.
Okay. So the question I always like to start off with is, how did the two of you get started in the film industry?
Oh, okay. Great question. My start really started in college, to be honest. I majored in journalism and did a lot of internships in news. I thought I was going to work in news initially. Did probably about 3 months in news and realized very quickly it was not for me. And from there, I transitioned into unscripted television production. So my background really is in unscripted production. I have about a decade working at unscripted on shows like the Dr. Phil Show, Love Island. I helped launch a digital platform for Fox. So the TV and film industry background is mostly in unscripted. And then I linked up with Mr. Braham here, and that really started my foray into film and the scripted side of the industry. So Noah, I'll let you tell your piece.
Yeah, and similar to Court, I majored in film and video production while I was in school. And I worked for a really short stint at NBC and then moved to Los Angeles in 2012. But my path was more so within the independent space. So I write, I direct, produce, and I also act. And I ended up creating a web series. And I was going back and forth between the East and the West Coast in order to get that project done. And I ended up submitting that web series to just one festival, and that was the LA Web Fest, which was founded by the late Michael Jr. And from there, Mike inspired me to continue to create and forge my own path. Flo, you said something really profound prior to the broadcast about if you want to be in your own film, then create it, right? If you want to get your own film ultimately out there, then you need to be the one to produce it. And so in my case, I worked on several short films. Our last project, Watchtower, was nominated for 2 daytime Emmys, and it was actually inspired by a production assistant of ours who was homeless. And he was living in a tenant campment that was 2 blocks away from the apartment complex we had just moved out of. So it was a very eye-opening experience to see here was an actor and PA who was pouring so much into our dream and purpose. And at the end of the shoot, he was going back and living on a sidewalk. And it was a big impetus to why we wanted to create the Micheaux Film Fest, to pour back to independent artists, and also to create a platform in a space, both literally and also metaphorically, that artists of all backgrounds and walks of life could specifically call home.
Okay. So now I want to talk about that really quick. See, I had all these questions, but you said something I got to ask. You talked about the PA who you found out was homeless. And oftentimes in this business, and this is a very hard business, and it's not for the faint of heart, but I want to ask you, what type of impact did that have on you as a filmmaker who at some point in time, as we all do, said to yourself, this is too hard for me, and I don't know if I can do this. But then you run across this gentleman who's on your film set, and film sets are 10 to 12, 14 hours a day. He does that, and then he goes back to a tent camp. So what did that do to you as far as your psyche saying to yourself that, you know what, yeah, I have to be really about this life?
Man, it helped me to understand the true importance of community.
Mhm.
Because in his particular case, he was living in a tent encampment that was literally 2 blocks from my old apartment complex.
Mm.
And at that time, and I didn't mention this earlier, but I moved into a hostel to fund that project. So I'm living in a hostel. I'm understanding that I placed myself in this circumstance because, I'm trying to get this film done. And in his case, it's something he's doing because this is just kind of a way of life and a culture that he's been able to embrace. So it really opened my eyes to the importance of not even chasing a platform, but more importantly, chasing a calling. And I felt that specifically in this time too, this was God's way of showing me not only how homelessness has to be an issue that on a artist and a community level, we have to get around, specifically in Los Angeles. LA has a 3rd highest homeless populace next to Mumbai and Mexico City. But also how we need to create more spaces and opportunities for artists to not only demonstrate and show their unique art, but also to be able to rely upon one another when times get tough or when we're in need of some form of platform or foundation that we can stand upon and call our own.
Hmm. So I want to ask you, Courtney, because you said that you got into television, but then you found out that television wasn't for you. Now, I did a little research.
News.
No, I'm sorry,
News specifically.
News wasn't for you. But you said it was a little too regimented. It was a little too boring for you.
Yeah, news is a little monotonous. You would think that with things being breaking all the time that it wouldn't be the case,
Mhm.
but it actually is. It is very regimented. It's very just kind of straightforward,
Mhm.
which is cool. That's great for those who love it, but I need a little bit more action in my life. And working in unscripted production is probably the most action you can possibly get. Every day is different. Every day is unpredictable. Every person that you're working with is different. And really, I really loved my start in unscripted, especially at Dr. Phil. And what they say is true. Dr. Phil is boot camp. If you can make it there, you can make it in anywhere in television. But that really gave me the foundation to become a great producer. It helped me learn how to work with all different types of stories, people, personalities. It really gave me a great foundation for producing and storytelling overall.
Okay, but you did a music festival in Philly, and then you were on the Dr. Phil show on a Tuesday. Now I'm from Philadelphia. Which music festival was this?
It was one music festival. No, not one music festival. Made in America. Made in America.
Okay, on the Parkway.
Yep.
Okay, so you went from the music festival to the Dr. Phil show. Now,
Yep.
so basically, you're the type of person that you're willing to take a risk if you feel as though the outcome would be in your favor. Would I be correct in that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So let's talk about December 2018, because a conversation takes place, and out of this conversation, the Micheaux Film Festival is born. So exactly what happened?
That's so funny. So I'm actually going to rewind to maybe like September, Noel, or maybe a little further than that. But essentially, I had taken a break from working in production and was working in casting. And I don't know if you know anything about casting, but obviously, production is very, very long hours always. Casting is 9 to 5. And so I found myself with all of this free time and wanted to be more creative with it. And so Noel and I at the time had decided to just start throwing just watch parties, just gathering people together for community, watching series and shows that were really hot out at the time that everyone didn't necessarily have access to. This was at the beginning of kind of like the streaming wars. So we just started throwing watch parties for different shows that we were interested in and started gaining a really great email listserv. So then one day in, I think September, Noel mentioned, hey, I think I want to do a screening for some of my short films. Like, you know how it is on the festival circuit. Your film goes on the festival circuit. Once it's done, sometimes it's never seen again. So he wanted to do a screening to show some of his films. I'm looking for a more creative outlet. I said, cool, I'll help you with that. So then he comes back and says, you know what? Actually, I'm going to invite a few other indie filmmaker friends and let's make a whole day of it. I said, absolutely, let's do that. So we recruited 13 short films from within our network of other indie filmmakers. And we had a one-day event in December. I like to say we sold it out twice because as soon as, it sold out once, and then as soon as people left, more people came in. Oh, wow. And that kind of let us know that we had something important on our hands.
Okay. Wow. So, please.
I would add to that too, to what Court said, because I wrote, directed, and produced a Star Wars fan film. And after we finished the fan film and we were looking to submit it to festivals, my initial thought was, well, we need to do our own premiere. So we turned around and actually rented out the Vista Theater that Tarantino now owns. And this was a one-off screening. This is back in 2016. So we can even rewind it further back to that point. We invited probably over 500-600 people, and over 350 people came out to that screening. Oh, wow. So it was already a small sign and seed to say that when you create something within the epicenter of the community and you're able to engage and meet people on that level, the response that could come as a result. So not only with the festival, because I learned about Micheaux through one of our mentors who put me up on game about him. And that was eye-opening because while I was in school, I learned about D.W. Griffith and I learned about Birth of a Nation, but I never learned about Oscar Micheaux and Within Our Gates. So for me, when I started to do more and more research on his history and past, to look at his legacy, and I was talking to Court, I said, we should honor this man. And we should ensure that he becomes a staple focus within the community, considering the barrier that he was able to hurdle and break through, what he accomplished, and more importantly, the spirit that he was able to accomplish it in.
And you know what's interesting? Excuse me, I thought I turned my power on, but I didn't. I looked at my computer and my battery was going down. But what's interesting about Oscar Micheaux is everything that you just said, but more importantly, in the era that he did it. Because if you look at that particular era, they were not checking for us, and for him to accomplish everything that he did just goes to show you the type of will that he had. Because again, the level of racism that existed in this country at that time was unbelievable. And for him to just be such a prolific filmmaker and to make so many films and to make quality films is just outstanding. But I want to talk a little bit about the festival and the type of people that you guys have had come through and the type of people that you've honored, Robert Townsend, Brenda Gilbert, Ernest Dickerson, and Micheaux is doing some amazing things, but you guys are still relatively new as far as festivals go. So my question is, how were you guys able to get such amazing people to agree to come to your festival?
I think it starts exactly where you already pinpointed it. It's Micheaux. When we speak to how we're preserving and continuing his legacy by way of the festival, we tend to get really strong responses as a result. Like you mentioned, Micheaux from the 1920s to the 1940s wrote, directed, produced, and distributed over 44 feature films. And he did it in a time that it was not popular for a Black man to be that bold. Take it one more step further. He would take his projects and go to predominantly white theaters to show them, to challenge society, bro, to help society understand and to place a mirror in front of society's face to say, here are the places and the issues where we're wrong. Here's how we have to do better, and to break down certain walls and stereotypes and stigmas that have been placed specifically on Black people. So it's one thing that you're going out here as a Black person and you making a film, but then you're turning around and then you're making race-based projects and then telling society about themselves, and then going to predominantly white theaters to showcase those films with the goal of bringing together polarizing worlds that otherwise would not intersect. And that's always our simple pitch when we go out to celebrated guests like a Robert, or we reach out to someone like a Denzel Washington. The festival at the end of the day is not only about the community, but it's also about ensuring that we preserve and speak to the history and the legacy of Oscar Micheaux. And that in and of itself sells itself.
That is beautiful. Courtney, would you like to add to that?
I mean, I definitely think, what Noel said is definitely a huge part of it. And I mean, I think also the thing that makes the world go round in this industry is relationships. We have been fortunate to have relationships with some of these people, or some of the people who are close to them, who can advocate for the festival on our behalf. And I think, similar to what Noel was saying, what we're doing with Micheaux it's an honor to his legacy. And I think we do a pretty doggone good job of it. We provide a really great experience. And so one of the things that we always say internally to each other is that, once people come out to the festival, we have their support. Like, there's no question about it. So sometimes it's just getting the right person just in the door. And that's how we're able to forge even stronger relationships with different companies, different individuals who are willing to support us no matter what, because they see the value and the quality of the event and the experience that we're putting together in Micheaux's name.
So let's talk about that, because I ran a film festival in Philadelphia for about 5 years.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah. And then the pandemic happened. It was called the Philadelphia Independent Film Awards. And then when I changed the name, it was the IFAP Awards. And I basically patterned it after the Oscars. So when you would come to our film festival, you would have 5 days of screening. And then at the end of that, you would have a major award show with everything. And the one thing that I said that I would do is have a serious standard of excellence. Mm-hmm. When I came to your film festival, that is the one thing that really stood out to me, the level of excellence and how you guys treated people. Courtney, I didn't get to see you too much, but I would always see you, Noel, everywhere, talking to people, asking them how they were doing, did they need anything. So what I'd like to know is, when you guys first created this festival, did you go into it saying that we have to make sure that our bar is so high that no one can ever say anything about the Micheaux Film Festival not delivering the goods?
In so many words, absolutely.
Did you? Well, yeah. And what I would say to that, Floyd, is that our approach and thought process is everyone who walks through our doors is Barack and Michelle Obama themselves. Mm. We like to look at ourselves as a 5-star organization that provides a 7-star experience. Mm. And when we look at the mission and vision of who and what we are, it starts with leading with help, elevating with value, and closing the knowledge gap between indie and industry. So for us, we know that we carry the cross of Oscar Micheaux's legacy on our back every single day. We know that we carry the history of Oscar Micheaux on our back. We play a small part in it, but we know we've been able to help amplify not only what he's accomplished, but what we're doing as well in the community by way of his namesake. So we don't take that lightly. And we're craftsmen when it comes to the level of detail from an experiential standpoint, because we've been to enough festivals, we've seen enough experiences to understand what works and what doesn't. And for us, it's all about ensuring that the filmmaker goes first. The filmmaker comes first. We provide them with as much as we possibly can to ensure that they understand that Courtney and I have not and will never short them. Nor will the Micheaux Film Festival, even if we're not festival directors when this thing is still going in 20 and 30 years. Mm-hmm. We are about the filmmaker first and ensuring that we always align with our mission and core values.
That's beautiful. So I want to talk to you guys about programming films, which is always fun. How and Courtney, I understand that you're the director of programming.
Yes.
So how big is your team as far as people that actually screen the films? How big is your team?
Yeah, we had a pretty big team this
Mhm.
year. We had about 15 screeners that worked with us for over 6 months.
Oh, wow.
They were amazing.
Okay. So the thing that I want to know, having, screened some films, have you ever had a situation where a film was on a fence and you initially said, you know what, I don't think so. But then you have a deeper conversation and you turn around and say, you know what, on second thought, I think we will accept this film into the film festival. Has that ever happened? And how do you handle that situation?
Oh, absolutely. So one of the things that we did differently this year that I will probably implement in all years going into the future is we actually held like deliberation conversations with the
Mm.
screeners on a monthly, bi-monthly basis. So essentially everyone would come to the table with projects that were like their absolute yeses that they wanted to fight for, like this has to be in the festival. And then everyone will also come to the table with a list of maybes of like, I don't think this project was for me, but have someone else watch it and maybe that will change the decision. So we really, talk through all the projects and then I would go through and watch the projects and then we talk through them again and
Mhm.
see what made sense. And then there's also, just the intricacies of, will this just make this block better or will this fit really well into a block? And sometimes, there's a project that might be on the fence, but it will work really well in a block that we already have. And so they get pushed through because it's right place, right time, honestly. But yeah, so we really do have just like a lot of conversations about the projects to make sure that we're giving every project its fair shake.
Okay. And as far as time constraints, because so what are your time constraints? Is it 20 for shorts or 25, or does it vary?
Shorts are, I believe, 25 minutes or less. And then features are 55 minutes or above. And then we also have a middle category called Shorts Plus, which is for
Hmm.
short films that have extended run times. And that's based off of past years. We would get shorts or get emails from people who are like, oh, my film exceeds the time, but like it's really good. Can I submit it? So we just decided to create a category for those extended runtime projects.
Okay. So what keeps a film out of your film festival?
Mm.
That's a great question. Well, I'll tell you what we typically look for. What we typically look for is production value, story, character development, and then just the overall technical value of the project. We are fortunate enough to have a filmmaker base that kind of spans first time filmmakers all the way through, very established filmmakers. So although the metric for the most part is the same, there is a little leeway for, if you're a student who this is your second time even behind a camera, I'm going to judge that a little lighter than I would someone who's been in the game for 15 years. And then also it really comes down to, I think production value and story really hold an equal balance. Because sometimes there are projects that, the production value, it could be a little better, but the story is so important. It's so well thought out and it's so well written that you have to include it. And also vice versa. Sometimes you have a project where the production value is incredible and the story could be lacking a little bit, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't deserve to also be seen.
Wow. And you know what? That's something, because I mentor young filmmakers, and one thing that I mentor them on is the business of film. And oftentimes filmmakers say, I just want to create. And I say, I understand that. But my question to you is, okay, once you create it, what are you going to do with it? Where is it going to live? Distribution, things like that. So when you talk about production value and story, commercial viability, does it have commercial viability? Because you said something very interesting earlier, and I wrote this down. You said sometimes when the film festival run is over, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So did that filmmaker think about film distribution?
Mm-hmm.
Did you think about any of that before you decided to send it out to the festivals? So the question I have is, if you ever run into filmmakers like that, And if so, are you guys developing anything to teach them the business of film? Because as I said, a lot of filmmakers love to create, but when it comes to the business aspect of it, they kind of come up short. So are you guys creating anything to help filmmakers along those lines?
Absolutely. So when we accept projects into the festival, one of the questions that we ask them in our confirmation form is, what are your goals for this project? Because one, we want to know that you're thinking about long term and thinking about the future of your project. And then two, we want to know how we can potentially help you depending on what those goals are. And then another thing that we've been doing this year, we've really been implementing a lot more quarterly programming. So outside of the festival event, we want to be able to put on different workshops, different programs that still help filmmakers along their creative journey. And that is more of the business side of filmmaking. So in, I believe, April, we had a distribution conversation that we hosted at Soho House. And we had a few different acquisition representatives, a few different marketing executives, all talking about how to plan for the life cycle of your project and the difference of a life cycle of a short and a feature, because they're extremely different. So we really aim to, be an educational resource for filmmakers, because it's one thing to be able to just show your project, cool, amazing, and then go home. It's another to be able to show your project, learn what you need to do next to keep your project alive, and then also be building community with the people who can help you do that.
Yeah, and especially if you're talking about a feature film, because if you have people that have invested money, some of those people are looking for a return on their investment. So it would be
most of them are.
I would think so, unless it's mom or dad and they just love you so much that they're gonna write you a check. But I went through that money a long time ago. So they like, look, so we need to see something. We need to see something coming back. But that's amazing. But I saw that. Was it a white party that you guys did?
It was the creative mixer, I think.
Oh, okay. And I so wanted to make that. So I'm looking forward to. I can't make this year because I'll be away with my family, but I definitely will be coming next year. But I wanted to talk about, because I'm really big on marketing, and one of the things that I've seen a lot of filmmakers not do. And Courtney, I watched the podcast that you did and you talked about this. The fact that they are not marketing their film when their film gets accepted into the film festival. Do they expect the two of you or your entire team at the Micheaux Film Festival to basically do all the legwork for them, as far as, hey, this film's going to be playing at the festival, so come on out and see it, and then they show up and they're the only ones sitting in the theater? They're kind of looking at you guys like, well, what the heck happened?
Well, Floyd, I don't know what they expect, but we do a good job of tempering expectations. That's one thing I can say. Noel, I'll let you take that, our marketing king.
Well, no, but I think it's a great point, Floyd, especially as a younger fest. And I'm standing right now because I started to cramp up there a second ago.
Okay.
Like my right leg started to cramp. I'm like, oh, man.
I was wondering where you were going.
Man, look now. So was that cramp. I'm 25 going on 26, y'all. So,
Ooh,
young bone.
I remember that. That was a long time ago. Very long time ago.
It was for him too.
Right. But no, I think it's to your point, though. What happens many a times is, especially as a younger festival, you have so many different screenings. There's obviously so much programming that's taking place. People want to come to the hot ticket, but we also want to promote and push those to come to some of the key projects that we're also pushing and getting out there, in addition to trying to attract them to other high quality projects that may not have that same form of celebrity, or may not have that same form of draw, but more so just phenomenal works that some of our filmmakers have done. So one of the things that we try to do with pushing our filmmakers is providing them with marketing assets and letting them know the importance of getting out and not only supporting their own project clearly, but supporting their fellow filmmaker. I heard a quote one time that said, "You'll never go broke by giving." And for us, we really tried to instill within our creators and filmmakers, specifically with this year and the theme being champion, how important it is for them to sacrifice on an even greater community level. When you look at what's taking place within our industry from an economic standpoint, the strikes that we've had to overcome, the pandemic, at the end of the day, indie filmmakers are all we got. And we have to rely and lean on each other so that if you don't have a big name or some form of celebrity apart, what you do have is you have an army and a community that's getting behind your project to push and allow people to come out to see not only your own work, but also to see the works of your fellow filmmakers who are a part of that specific class. And that's why we pride ourselves on not only our themes and connecting them with the greater and the broader vision for what we're trying to accomplish as a festival. Again, this year, the theme was champions. Last year, outliers. The year before that, legends, disruptors, dreamers, because we want them to understand that there's a greater purpose and sense of identity that you as a filmmaker and artist are connected to beyond just being a part of a festival and having people come out and see your own work. I pose a question.
Oh, no, I'm listening. No, please, no, go. No, I'm listening to you.
I pose a question, and Courtney posed a question to our filmmakers. And the question was, what if your dream had nothing to do with you and everything to do with what and who your dream was meant to impact? And what if that impact, you would never even know and understand it? So that person that your dream ultimately positively impacts, they can't say thank you, and you're not able to say you're welcome to. There's a greater calling, I believe, on artists and creators to tell the stories we tell, because when we are dead and gone, our stories will continue to live. And they will still be here making the impact and the spirit of why we create that story in the first place. What truly makes a film festival special is not just programming and, excuse me. What truly makes a film festival special is not just programming and putting on cute events or having, nice production design. What makes it special is the spirit of that festival. You look at some of the greatest human experiences like Woodstock. You look at other festivals and experiences from around the world. It's about the identity and the spirit of what that festival is all meant to be in the first place. So when we look at Micheaux, we not only walk with the spirit of Micheaux, but we're also walking within the spirit of the artists, those who sacrificed to get that project done in the first place. So we really pride ourselves in pushing that and helping them to understand, get out there, market, and promote not just your project, but everyone else's.
And you know what? You're so right. No one ever went broke giving. And you would be amazed at what comes back to you when you're pushing something for someone else. And I was interviewing Tanisha Laverne Grant yesterday. She's a Hollywood red carpet reporter. And she talked about when she was an intern and she used to have to catch the bus. And sometimes she didn't have money to catch the bus, but she would get on the bus and tell the bus driver, well, I'm going to my internship, and the bus driver would let her go to her internship on the bus. I can bet you anything that he does not know where she is right now and what she's doing. But just like you said, if the dream didn't have anything to do with you, but you ended up bringing someone else's dream to fruition just by doing a kind deed, just by saying, you know what, yep, I know you ain't got that money, go have a seat. And it's interesting because, she's from Chester, Pennsylvania. I'm from Philadelphia. And the bus that she used to get on, I used to drive because I drive for public transportation. So I said, you know what? More than likely, I picked you up. I said, more than likely, I picked you up. And see, it's like full circle moments.
Wow.
So you have zero idea of who you come into contact with and what one gesture can do for someone. Perfect example. Let's go back to the beginning of the conversation. The gentleman from the tent camp. Now, who knows what ended up happening to him, Noel, because you showed him a kindness. When so many people just walked by him and looked at him as less than. But you were kind enough to have this brother come on your set, do PA work, and just to let him know, like, hey, I'm a little down right now, but my start ain't my finish.
Cool.
And I'm gonna get off my soapbox because this ain't about me. This is
No,
about you guys.
come on, boy. It's a word. We here for the word.
Hey,
Help us. Perspective.
I know that's right. But you know what? I wanted to talk to you guys about relationships because this is a business of relationships. So how important for the past 6 years has the relationship building been for the success of the film festival?
Yeah, I mean, extremely. The positive thing is that the festival has really helped us forge new and strong relationships as well.
Mhm.
So for example, one of our sponsors, one of our longtime sponsors at this point, Sony, that came about from a job that I worked previously and someone I kept in contact with. And now that's been our sponsor for years. And we now have, that's another side and more people that we have, a whole different department that we have a very strong relationship with that, they also see the value and the quality of the festival and they support us year after year. That's extremely important, that's what helps keep our festival running. The filmmakers who support us year after year. There are 1,000 festivals that you could attend and that you could save your premiere for or wait to screen at. And for filmmakers to love our festival so much that they tell us like, oh, I was waiting for Micheaux. Like I didn't submit anywhere else because I wanted to premiere with you. Like those are relationships that are extremely important to us. And them advocating for the festival, telling their friends, like the amount of times I hear people who have submitted are like, oh yeah, my friend told me about it. They told me I have to submit to Micheaux. Like those are the relationships that matter, the ones that are going to also advocate for you. Because yes, we provide the platform, but we also still need people to advocate for us as well.
No, did you want to add anything before I move on to my next question?
Your network ultimately equates to your net worth, and what she said is so true. Roku, another one of our big and long-standing partners, we got connected to them because an executive who we had a relationship with saw what we were doing, saw our level of consistency, and then came back and said, "Hey, we want to get involved in what you guys had going on." So I would really encourage filmmakers, especially because I've noticed that when artists attend a festival, they'll tend to just go to their screening or maybe a few kind of like highlight events, and they may be a bit sheepish in how they go about approaching others and not wanting to come off like they're self-promoting or not wanting to really speak or connect. It is so important that when you have an opportunity to stand upon a platform that's opening up gates and doors for so many people from around the world to come together under one house and roof, that you do everything you can to connect and meet as many people as possible. So if you're awkward, then go into that, introduction awkward. If you're afraid, then introduce yourself still afraid. If you don't know what to say, who cares? Still say something anyway. The reason being is you don't understand what new path can be opened up as a result of that one relationship. And we've had filmmakers come back to us saying, I met future collaborators. I met my director. I've met my producer. I now met my actor by way of you all's festival. Some person, I remember this like 2 or 3 years ago, they had just moved out here. They came out to the festival. We bumped into each other a year later, and they were saying how they now have an entire community and tribe of individuals who support them because of the Micheaux Film Festival, people that they can rely upon, people that they can collaborate with, people that they can now call friends. We talked about the importance of community at the top of the conversation. How do we build that community if we don't open our mouth and network? And a lot of times it's psychological blocks that hold us back from actually networking. In fact, we're thinking, oh, I don't want to come off this, or does my hair, or this, all those things don't matter. So when you come to Micheaux, which is why we want people to be as comfortable as possible, we want you to know that you got family around you. So if you're in need of something, connect and let's talk about it. If you're looking for more talent, let's talk about it. Let's forge the community and build the proper foundation that we know we can.
And what's
y'all, sometimes I'm always sort of like, my bad if I ever. I know sometimes I kind of go in a little bit. So
no. You know what? This is phenomenal because when it's shared, because we're actually streaming live. So when it's shared, because it's going to go on YouTube, it's going to go on Facebook, it's going to go on all the major streaming platforms. So I want people to hear what the two of you are saying, because it's so important for filmmakers and people in the content creation space to understand that it takes a heck of a lot more than just making a film to make a film. And so many people get stuck on the production and they're not thinking about the intangibles. And one of the intangibles is when you go to a film festival, who are you talking to? This gentleman that I have on my wall, Clarence Avon, there's a reason I have him on my wall because I am such a big fan because he was a connector. So the question is, when you go to these film festivals, who are you connecting and who are you connecting with? It's just like Gary Vaynerchuk said, and Issa Rae. I hope I said her name right. Issa Rae said, the issue with so many people is when they network, they try to network up as opposed to across and front and behind. And so many filmmakers have that breakthrough talent standing right next to them. But you're trying to get to the boy on the stage or the lady on the stage, not understanding that the person that you're sitting here saying, wow, this is great, that could be the person that puts you on. So that's why, you know, it's so important. Relationships. I'm such a big advocate for people, you know, starting relationships and building collaborations, because the people on the stage, they're where they are. You're looking to get to a certain place. So why are you not looking to partner with people that could ease that and help you along? And on that, I want to talk to the two of you about entrepreneurship, because Courtney, I understand that you are now a full-time entrepreneur, and I just want you to talk about the highs and the lows of being a full-time entrepreneur in the film business.
Oh man, it's hard. It's very, very hard. Entrepreneurship in general is hard, and the entertainment industry in general is hard. So putting those two things together is very hard, but also very rewarding. And I think that, you know, especially with running a platform like the Micheaux Film Festival, in a time right now where, you know, the industry is really slow, a lot of people aren't working, a lot of people aren't able to create the way that they're used to. And I'm one of those people, like I haven't been able to create in the way that I'm used to, and that's difficult, but at least I have the festival and I have that as a creative outlet. And not only does that kind of service me and my creative abilities, but it also helps me provide a platform for other people. And that's really one of the most like rewarding things that I could ever ask for. But I think like when it comes to entrepreneurship, I mean, similar to the industry, like having those relationships, having that network, having a community of other entrepreneurs is very helpful. If I was doing this by myself, I probably would have quit already. But having Noel, having a business partner who can tough it out with you, sometimes we just get on the phone and we just vent. And that's it. It's just a 15-minute vent session. Nothing is accomplished, but we just vent it out. But being able to have that is so helpful, because if you just have to do all of that by yourself, you'll go crazy. So it is definitely a tough journey, and it's different from what I'm used to, but it's extremely rewarding at the end of the day.
So you just said something, and I gotta ask. The venting part. It's very needed, but your circle. I want you guys to talk about your circle, you know, because we all have associates, we have friends, but then there's the circle, that person that you can pick the phone up to and you say, you know what, this is really, you need to talk me down off the ledge. Can you, because there may be a filmmaker right now who's going to be watching this in the future and they're stuck and they just don't know what to do. So can you talk about the importance of having that circle so that when it does get rough, that you have some go-to people that when you pick up the phone, they're like, yo, what you need?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what helps you get through it. I think you have to have two types of people in your circle. You have to have the type of person who is on the same level as you, kind of going through it, can definitely sympathize and empathize. And then you have to have someone who's already been there, done that, and knows what it's like, knows where you've been, and can tell you it gets better. So for that, Noel and I, we're on the same page. We're on the same level. We can empathize, sympathize with everything that the other may be going through or dealing with. And then we have our trusted business advisors, aka my dad and his mom, who we just we take our issues to. My dad has been a business consultant for decades on decades, so he understands it. Noel's mother just gives amazing sound advice. Like, she comes from an educational background, so she knows how to see and think through a lot of different scenarios. So being able to vent is one thing, but being able to have trusted advisors that you can lean on and really trust their opinion and trust that they have your best interest at heart when they're giving advice is paramount.
That's good. And I would add.
Oh, no, please.
Oh, no, no,
I'll wait.
I would add a few things, right? Because I'll back it up real quickly. You mentioned about getting people out to screenings and putting people in certain positions and situations. I just wanted to add how important it is for people to understand the value in not how many people are in the room, but who specifically is in the room. In this game, it's about quality, not quantity. But yet we chase quantity and we overlook quality over all the time. We focus and put too much value into the perception versus the reality, when we need to be pouring more into the reality rather than the perception. And then to the point of entrepreneurship, no one would ever bring a child into this world, right? If that child didn't have, let's say, some form of structure or home that the parents would be able to bring that baby back to, right? You provide that child with a routine. You provide that child with development. You provide that child with different experiences and opportunities so that that child can what? Develop, learn, and grow. Now, let's talk about filmmakers, because all filmmakers are dreamers without a doubt. Nobody goes into this saying we're going to make a whole bunch of money, right? No one says, oh, I'm going to dot it out. We think we are, but it's not like we know for a fact. There are no guarantees in this game. So as a result of that, we are dreamers by nature and trade. And as a result of being a dreamer by nature and trade, we are now birthing that dream into this world in the form of a child, right? The reason why a child is able to develop, grow, and learn is because that child has structure, right? Now, in the case of a filmmaker, and when we talk about our dream, we have to ask ourselves, what does our structure, organization, and development look like? Because I would never bring an actual human baby into this world without certain things set up in order to ensure it learns, it develops, and grows. But yet, we believe that our dream is supposed to necessitate and bring us back results when we have not surrounded that dream with structure, development, organization, the same ideas and pillars that you give a baby. You see where I'm going with this, right? Y'all see where I'm dropping with this. And yet many creators, because we are so powerful by nature, I got this idea, we're going to do this, and then we can write this, and then we can build relationships with this person, then we can do this and do this and do this. We're all over the place because we could see it, but it doesn't mean necessarily we have to do it. And most importantly, if you have the dream, you have to structure it, organize it in order for it to grow, to develop, to learn, and to bring you back the results that you're looking for as to why you're even making the sacrifices to pursue that dream in the first place. The second thing I would go out to say in 2024, mentors are overrated. You need a coach. Why? A mentor is a glorified friend. And especially in our industry, whenever they have time, once every 6 months, they may actually be willing to spend it with us and provide us with certain feedback. But a coach, you're paying. A coach is analyzing every little element of who and what you are and what you're doing. A coach is going to provide you with the areas that you're doing better in and where you have to grow, and the areas that you're not good in, and here are things that you can do to correct and fix that. So as a filmmaker, once again, we talked about, if my dream's a baby, where am I placing my child, and who am I placing my child or my dream into the hands of in order for my dream to grow, to develop, to learn, and organize so that I can get the results that I'm looking and seeking.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Woo.
But I got to say, man, I'm a mentor. Damn, I totally agree with what you just said regarding mentors, but I'm going to push back a little bit. It depends on the mentor. And I'll just share this with you. I'm actually meeting with my second cohort of amazing young women, right? So when I'm doing my one-on-ones right now. So last week when we were about to get off the call, she said, well, can I, is it okay if I reach out to you? And I said, excuse me? She said, from time to time, is it okay if I reach out to you? I said, oh no, let me tell you how this is going to work. Every week, we will be on a 30-minute call on a Google Meet call, the group of us. Then we're going to break it down into the one-on-ones. Each of you will have my cell phone number, because this is how I see it, Noel. I have been given a responsibility because someone said, Floyd, I am entrusting you with these women. So I take that very seriously. Now, she did say that the mentor that she had before talked to her one time. So I get exactly what you're saying. Talked to her one time, got her a phenomenal meeting, but after that, he kind of went ghost, and she would email him and she would never respond. So I understand exactly what you're saying, but I think it's an individual thing. How serious, and it's just like your film festival, because I've been to I've been to some shitty film festivals where they don't take care of their people, and that's not how you guys operate. So it goes with anything. So I emailed all of my mentees and said, okay, well, we're meeting September 17th. Clear your calendars. It's going to be about an hour. And, now they haven't met each other yet, but I said, we're going to meet. We're going to have this meeting, but I also want you guys to meet each other, because like we were saying earlier, the networking across is what builds, because they're all talking about, well, I'm stuck in this place. I'm stuck in this place. And they all bring different disciplines to the table. So I can put 5 amazing women on a call with different disciplines, experts in their field, who don't know each other. Something gonna happen. But it goes to how, and I told all of them when I would end the call, I take this very seriously. I take this very seriously. So yes, you have some mentor, and I'm also a life coach, so maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's the issue.
Okay, I'm about to say you different.
So yes, because
right.
But
you a coach, so that makes sense. You a coach.
Yeah, well, you know what? Then I gotta agree with you 100% because I am a coach. But in my first cohort of mentees, because I'm with Cheryl Bedford, start with 8. My first cohort, they still contact me. They still have my phone number. You're calling me, and if they don't contact me, I'm texting like, yo, what's going on? I need to know. As a matter of fact, one of them was at your Lauren. Good grief, what is Lauren's last name? Lauren Mayo. Lauren Mayo is one of my my mentees. But long story short, I understand what you're saying, but I take that thing very, very seriously. But again, it's not about me, it's about you. So last question, and this has been absolutely amazing.
Can I say something to that real
quick?
Please.
Please.
I feel led to encourage you to reach out to those two within your network who are in positions of power, and help them understand, maybe on a data level, how important it is for us to give back and to help not only younger generations, but those who are in less privileged positions, especially as a coach with the level of credibility you have, because I come from the South where I had a tribe of kings and queens that surrounded me to help me develop and were willing to selflessly pour back into me. And I got out to Los Angeles and I realized it was definitely more transactional, and people just did not want to give up that time the way they were willing to in other industries and other regions of this nation. I believe specifically, especially when we talk about the negative impact and how it's hard for our people to get ahead, part of what's connected to that is the fact that we're not pouring enough into our own communities. And we're not doing exactly what you said. We're meeting the people on the ground level, sitting down with young folks or those in less privileged positions and providing them with knowledge and information that otherwise they would not have. So I just feel like, and you may already be doing this, and maybe this is, if we can help amplify whatever it is that you're looking to do, if we could create a one sheet or something to just speak to the importance of just giving back, not in the form of even money, but in the form of time. And you were saying something so powerful there, because essentially what you've been doing is selflessly sacrificing and sowing your time and providing them with that knowledge and insight that otherwise they would not have. You take it one step further, that knowledge and insight you're giving to them is now propelling them 5 to 10 years ahead of their counterparts as a result of the insight. So when we start talking about also the wealth gap and certain deficits, why is that? Well, it's not just because of resources and slavery, though that's a huge component of it, right? It's also because the knowledge and information that we do have, we're gatekeeping it. And we need to blow up the gates. And we need to ensure people get the game and knowledge that they need, like what you're doing right now with the cohort of your mentees. And we need to ensure that people specifically within this industry understand the importance and the power of that. And just because we've gotten to certain heights and levels does not mean that we now begin to use race in the form of, I'm not going to go there, so let me stop. No, but we get
this. We can go there, sir.
I ain't gonna burn the votes. I can't burn the votes yet.
Okay. You can't burn the ships.
Don't want to burn the votes.
You need the ships.
But I think that, no, but seriously, it's so inspiring to hear how you're pouring and giving back to these others, because I think that we're missing that simple concept in Los Angeles. Or we look at giving back in the form of a transaction to say, okay, here goes a check, goodbye. Or we'll sit down for lunch, that's it. If we took a mentality like the one that you had, if people in higher and bigger positions of power took the same form of resources and power like what you're doing and giving it to others who essentially can give you nothing back in return, where would we really be as a people in an industry? How much further could we really advance? I believe that progress does not equate to profit, and profit does not equate to progress. It lies within purpose. Now, that's counterintuitive, right? When you talk to those within the studio system and the streamer system and Hollywood, because what they're focusing on ultimately is the bottom line. And there is an idea as well. The whole point of going into business is to ultimately stay into business. Don't get me wrong. I get that at the end of the day. But capitalism cannot be on the forefront if we truly want to advance. Selflessness, sacrificing, and giving back to others must be at the forefront if we want to advance. And what you're doing is, in fact, that. So I just want to give you your flowers.
Thank you so much. I take that and I receive it. And you know what, you can always do more. You can always do more. And you just gave me a few ideas, but this has been an absolutely amazing conversation. But I have one more question for the two of you. What are 5 things that you would tell your younger self or any young person that has decided that this is the business and the life for them?
It's a great question. Noel, I think we should go 1 for 1 so we don't have to think of all 5 at the same time.
I agree.
First thing I would say, and it's not to discourage anyone, it's just to be real. You better love it. You better absolutely love what you do, because this industry will try you, and it will try you again, and it will try you again. But that passion and that love for it is what keeps you going. It's what keeps you fueled. It's what keeps you pushing when you keep getting told no, 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 no. It's what keeps you striving for that one yes that matters. You have to absolutely love this. That's my first one.
That's good. And I would add to what she just said. How big would you dream if you knew you couldn't fail? How big would you dream if you knew you couldn't fail? My second to her first is do not chase. And I said it earlier already, but do not chase the platform, chase the calling. Don't chase the platform. Don't chase the awards. Don't chase the numbers. Don't chase the followers. Don't chase the opportunities. Don't chase the idea that you've been able to formulate within your own mind of what things are going to be. And if you do this and you do that, and then this is going to happen and this is going to happen, and all that cause and effect and action react, get rid of all of that. Chase the calling. Don't put any more time and energy into the platform and the idea of what that platform is going to produce, because the calling will create a platform on top of a platform on top of a platform, and there will be a manifold return as a result of placing the value, time, and energy into the calling rather than the platform. And I only speak to that because my younger self, I used to think, oh, I'm going to do this short film. I'm going to open, this door is going to open up. Then I'm going to get signed with this agency. Then this is going to happen. Then I'm going to be able to work with this individual. And my career is actually going to mirror Ryan Coogler's. Yes. My career is going to mirror Michael B. Jordan. Yes. Or Zendaya. Yes. And I had all these ideas and thoughts planned out. So what would I do? I would go to the awards parties and I would try to network with the biggest agents and managers. And I would, try to create this persona on social media and the idea of how big and bad and everything and it's so great and nothing is going to fail and da, 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 da. And I neglected the calling, because the calling would have got me everything I imagined and so much more. Why do I know that? Because now I'm chasing the calling and I'm beginning to see the results that I always wanted when I was chasing the platform that I never got.
See, I'm pulling my mic up right now, and I'm dropping it.
Maybe that's short. That's gonna be 2, 3, 4, and 5,
right? Oh man,
Courtney, number 2. You sure you got a number 2 in there, Courtney?
Ooh, all right.
I took improv. So.
Right. We'll just call this number 3 at this point. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. If you're gonna do this, aim to be the best. Learn everything that you can about your craft. Learn everything that you can about production overall. Producing a film is the biggest group project you will ever participate in your life. So knowing what a director does and how you can make the director's life easier will help you be a better producer, right? Learning how to read a great script, how to write a great script will help you be a better director. It will help you be a better actor. So the more that you learn about this industry and the different positions and the way that things work together, the better that you will be at your craft. There's so much that you can learn and research just from Google, just from YouTube. You have to hunt for it because no one's going to make it easy, but you can find so much about this industry. If you didn't go to film school, if you didn't go to journalism school, if you didn't study any of this, you can teach yourself, you can educate yourself on how this industry works and operates. If you aim to be the best, if you aim to really study your craft, there is not a single door that will be shut to you, because you will know and understand how the game is played. And if you know how the game is played, you can play it and you can win.
That's good.
Do I need to just put my mic on the damn desk? I need to just put the mic. I'm just gonna hold the mic. I'm gonna hold my other mic But that's so true, because you know what? I never went to film school, and I never went to journalism school. And I made films, and I'm hosting people on podcasts. Hello.
Yep. Yep. And you're one of the few industries where you don't have to touch a school in order to really succeed in it. You just have to be good, and you have to know how to do what you're doing. That's it.
And you have to be consistent and persistent. Yes. You really do. And as you said, and we're going to get to your other one, Noel, but you have to. This ain't a light business. This is not a light. Oh, I like it. If you like it, this ain't your business.
Right.
Because you got to love this, because, I'm still paying off credit cards. I had to love this business in order to max them bad boys out.
Yep.
It's a commitment. And if you're not following, as you said, if it's not a calling, if you're not feeling this in your bones, if this don't keep you up at night, if you ain't feeling this in your soul, because I know the two of you stay up at night. I know. That's why I hate waking up in the middle of the night. I'm like, damn it, I'm not going back to sleep, because things are going through my, but your point, sir, your number 4.
I would say have a op and a POC mentality. When I say op, I mean when an opportunity is presented, first process. And a POC, and that's POCC, use peace, order, and capacity to decide. Because every yes you say to someone or something is a no you're going to say to yourself. So use an op when an opportunity is presented, first process, and a POC, use peace, order, clarity, and capacity to decide. Because every yes you say to someone or something is a no you're saying to yourself.
I hope y'all in the audience wrote that one down. Y'all look, make sure you listen to this podcast. You better subscribe to it so you can get the gems like this. I'm telling you, you guys think I asked you to subscribe to this podcast for the podcast numbers? No, I asked you to subscribe to this podcast because the master class that you've been given today would cost you a lot of money somewhere else, but you get it here for free. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast. But what is next on the agenda for the Micheaux Film Festival? Tell us what's going on in October. What's going on?
I think we got one more, right, Court?
Oh, you got
5,
one more?
right?
Is that? Oh, that's right. Oh, see, I'm so overwhelmed that I stopped at number 4. Number 5, Courtney, drop that.
They were getting so good.
Yeah,
I mean,
you know what I'm saying? I lost count.
I'm gonna give a double for number 5 because it really is what we've already talked about building relationships. I hear from people who are like, oh, I don't know anyone in LA and I don't have a community. That's what the Micheaux Film Festival is for. Come out, meet people, build relationships. There is no reason to feel like you have no community in LA, no creative community who you can lean on. And in addition to that, the double wham for it is make sure that you advocate for your own work. Similar to what Noel was saying with market your own work, make sure that you get people out there. If you love this industry, if you are spending your free time researching how to be the best, if you are out here weighing your opportunities, why in the world are you not advocating for people to come and see what you have created? You have to open your mouth and talk about your projects. You have to talk like you know what you're talking about. You have to talk like it is one of the best projects ever created so that people will come and see your work. You're pouring blood, sweat, tears, money, time. Make sure that you tell people about what you have created. Tell people about what you want to do, what you want to continue to do, how you want to continue to work in this industry, because no one knows if you don't tell them.
Oof, see. and let me say something to that. This is why I'm so glad that you guys are going to be teaching the business of film, teaching filmmakers how to do business, because everything that you just talked about, Courtney, ain't nothing but marketing and advertising.
That's true.
Film companies spend millions on this. When you went and brought your Galaxy phone or your iPhone, why did you go buy that? Because Samsung and Apple bombarded you with ads, letting you know that the iPhone 15 Pro Max is the best phone out there. Let's go to film. When you sit in a film theater, you remember back in the day, I'm 58, back in the day, you would basically go to the movie theater, sit in the theater, and a movie would come on. They might have shown one trailer. But if you go to the movie theater now, you're sitting there for at least a half an hour watching advertising for upcoming films. Because as you said, Courtney, they are advocating for that film. So filmmakers, when you create a product, did you hear that? When you create a product, you want to send it to the market so people can visually consume it. They won't know it's there unless you tell them. They won't know it's there unless you advertise your wares. They won't know it's there unless you let people know. And you said something on a podcast, about Courtney, about advocating for yourself, not bragging, but just advocating for yourself. Because as the song goes, closed mouths don't get fed on the boulevard. So if I'm not telling you, then who gonna know? And then you get mad when people don't come out. Dog, I didn't even know you had that.
Facts.
Yeah. And a lot of time I think, like, we all kind of suffer from main character syndrome from social media. You think that because you post something one time, you just think everyone sees it, everyone now knows. No, you have to continue to post. You have to send out text message invites. You have to put it on every single social media platform. You need to tag people. Then you know that they know. If they comment and say, hey, I'm buying a ticket, then you know that they know. Until that happens, you can't assume that anyone knows about anything that you're doing. They might send you a quick hand clap emoji and forget about it 30 seconds later. You have to continue to get your message across, continue putting it out there, and really make it as personal as possible, because people want to be connected to the journey. They want to be connected to the success. So me just posting on Instagram, hey, come to my screening, versus me texting you, hey, Floyd, I would really love it if you show up and support my project. Those are two different things, and you will really get a much better outcome from the second one.
Yeah, because the first one is like mass marketing.
Exactly.
Facts. We have to come back on here, bro, to promote and talk about our journey with our own film, because we shot a feature film last year before Micheaux 5. And the process that we went through, we raised $1 million. We went into pre-production. Prior to that, Court had to move back to Atlanta as a result of an accident. We learned so much in juggling both the festival and the film. It's taken our business acumen and insight in the process that we've learned as entrepreneurs and trying to help other artists and creators understand that they're not just even a filmmaker, that they're not just some writer, they're not just some director, especially in a time like now when you have to be a multi-hyphenate. You are an entrepreneur. And Oscar Micheaux, as much as he was a filmmaker, was a businessman. He was a businessman. And you have to be willing to build out different silos around you as a business, right? From like you guys talked about marketing and distribution. You got to look at your talent, like feedback loop, and how you're bringing in new talent and organizing and recruiting others to join forces with you, depending on what your venture looks like. You have to talk about financing. You have to talk about whether or not you're going to bring on a fractional CFO, COO, what that looks like from the day to day, your admin, your organization. We've already talked about structure. We should be talking about your project management system, how that's laid out. We also need to be talking about how you're making sure you create enough time for you on a personal level, because if you're not okay personally, the business is not going to be okay, but yet we prioritize the business in front of us every single day. And as entrepreneurs, that's not the way to go about it. So we would love to come back on and to drop like the journey of Angel City, bro.
Oh yeah, y'all definitely coming back on. Y'all definitely coming back on. And you know what? I wrote a film book, and in one of the chapters in my book talks about exercise.
That's good.
And the other one talks about meditation and personal development. And I said, I know y'all ain't never seen this in a film book, but it's just like you said. If you're not right, your film ain't right. You can't shoot nothing sick. You can.
Yeah.
And even if, to that point, even if the film has went out and it's been this major success, what you don't want to normalize as an artist is toxicity. We've seen a lot of that in Hollywood, right? Specifically toxic men doing toxic things, and yet they make these global box office successes, and yet they believe that by taking on this mentality and nature as a leader, because everyone says yes to me, I can continue to move that way. That is not the way to do it. So even if you have been able to find success, to what you just said, Floyd, that doesn't mean the way in which you went about it was okay, even if you got the results that you were looking for. So it's a twofold process to that, right?
This thing that got deep, y'all. this thing we supposed to be getting ready to get off, but this joint on when it got done, when it got deep. And this is an amazing conversation, but I would love to have you guys come back because, you guys have touched on so many amazing things, and, especially the business aspect, everything you just laid out. Oh my gosh, that was just fire, because, and you talked about earlier the wealth gap. And one of the reasons, in my opinion, my humble opinion, that there is a wealth gap because of the things that you guys laid out in your 5 reasons, and everything that you just laid out, Noel, are you considering those things before you even yell roll camera? Are you considering any of those things? Are you talking about, well, this is where my film's going to be distributed, and this is going to be the distributor? This is who I'm going to have, as a CFO or the COO, if I need to go somewhere else and shoot and create a company to have all of that thing put in place. Unfortunately, too many creatives, and especially us, don't have these conversations. And then when they're sitting there stuck, they're kind of like, well, what the hell happened? You didn't do your due diligence. And, it's no shade against them, because you don't know what you don't know. So the fact that you guys are doing so many amazing things, with this is absolutely incredible. And I can't wait for you guys to come back. I just have to catch you at a time when y'all ain't busy, because it's hard catching up with y'all and stuff. I sent Noel a message on Clubhouse like 2 years ago, and I was like, brother, ain't even respond. And then one day out the blue, I get this message, and I'm saying to myself, it's 2 years later, man. It's 2 years later. But you don't go on Clubhouse. It's 2 years. He's like, oh, Floyd, but it's all good. But I get it, man. You guys are doing big things.
I got off Clubhouse. That's why.
Okay. Right. I was like, I don't even remember Clubhouse having messages.
Yeah.
I said the same thing, Court. I said, what is this? I'm like, oh, people can message me?
Yep.
So I saw you message, because we got off after Disruptors. That was 2021. Yeah, we had got off. And when I got back on, and I was like, oh, Floyd messaged us.
I was like, well, damn, I was feeling some kind of way, no problem. I said, okay. I said, I'll wipe my tears and interview somebody else. Like, I've been at a festival and stuff, but this has been great. I don't want to you guys. This has been great. I so look forward to, coming back to the festival next year. And, I want to come back in a particular capacity, but I'm going to talk about that at another time, because you guys do panels and things like that. And I know y'all had people sitting up there interviewing the panelists. So,
yes. Until you said you weren't free this year, we were about to have you for this year.
Yeah. It's the in October, correct? The 21st through the 28th?
21st to the 20th, yeah.
Yeah, I will be in, where the heck will I be? Punta Cana with the family. Yeah, I will be.
Oh, very nice.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's my wedding anniversary and my daughter's birthday. So we usually celebrate that all together as a family. So, but
that's beautiful.
Yeah, but I'm definitely coming back next year. I would love to moderate a panel. I would love to moderate a panel, because I was sitting at the other two, sitting in the audience like, man, I need to be moderating the panel.
Absolutely. We would love that.
But whenever you guys want to come back, because normally I do my shows on Thursday, but if you guys wanted, if Friday works better for your schedule, just let me know, and we will set that up. And actually, if you guys don't mind, there's a segment of the podcast that I do at the end of every month called Building Tables. So I would love to have the two of you on, that segment, and we can actually talk about the film and anything else that you guys want to discuss, about that. But yeah. So where can people find the two of you?
You can find me at Court Produced It on Instagram. And the Micheaux Film Fest at Micheaux Film Fest. All platforms, most platforms. Noel.
Yep, and find me at Noel, Noel, and then last name Braham, Braham, on all platforms. And I just wanted to say too, for the fifth thing, I don't know who needs to hear this, but it's important. And I know we're ending the conversation. I'm jumping back into it. And again, I don't know who needs to hear this, but I feel moved to say it. It's important for you to understand that no matter what festival you submit to, no matter what festival you get in, no matter what festival you don't get in, no matter what opportunities you get, no matter what opportunities you're rejected from, I want you to remember that the affirmation of man means nothing when you have been validated by God. The Micheaux Film Festival cannot affirm you or your project. Another tier 1 film festival out there, I don't care how big they are or how much prestige they have, cannot validate you or affirm your project. Only you can do that in recognition and observance of God who gave you the vision in the first place. I just wanted to say that.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is an absolutely amazing way to end the podcast. So thank you so much for joining myself, the amazing Courtney L. Branch, Noel Braham, on a conversation with. Listen, subscribe to the podcast, download this show, get a pen and a pad, and listen a few times, because you're not going to get everything in the first listen. Listen 2, 3, 4, 5 times, because some of the stuff that you've heard, damn it, 100% of the things that you've heard here today will separate you from so many other creators. I'm telling you, you don't get to be as successful as these two in such a short period of time without doing things in the right way and in the right order, but most importantly, with God at the helm. You can't get that thing done. So again, subscribe, upload it, take notes, listen to it, and all that other good stuff. But again, thank you guys so much for joining myself, Miss Courtney L. Branch, and Noel Braham on a conversation with. And as always, love it like a hobby, but treat it like a business. Everyone have an absolutely amazing, amazing night.